First of all, thank you everyone for coming. It's a really great turnout tonight, actually. So I'm Chris Bailey. I'm the Head of Innovation here at Jigsaw24, and I'm going to run you through what my best bits or my take on NAB 2024. Obviously, trade shows are kind of up and down recently, but we took 5 of us out there, along with 20 or so of our customers as well. And our job is really to kind of walk around the show, introduce them to vendors, carry out meetings, set up all of these scenarios for them, and see where we can actually add value to this. So, NAB, everyone's favourite pilgrimage to the desert to see who can pretend they're not hungover or jet lagged, or we still are now. But it was a pretty decent show. We had lots of customer dinners, so I love those customers. So thanks to our partners as well. So people like Nutanix and EditShare and LucidLink and Avid, for instance. We took guys out and wine and dine them as you do in the Vegas manner. So before the show, we have lots of pre-NAB meetings, pre-show meetings. So these are the opportunities for us in particular to really talk to the vendors and find out what they're doing pre-show. So this is a lot of stuff that you guys might not see, but it's really important to us that we understand where we are with the vendor, what their roadmap is, what our roadmap is, and what you guys might be looking forward to be doing later on. Also, a big thanks to Titan as well, who obviously are headline sponsor for this event as well, who took us to the Sphere on the Saturday night, which is an incredible experience. We managed to see Postcards from Earth, which is ironically a movie about killing the Earth in a building that's killing the Earth. But yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I know, honestly, if you do get the chance to go to the Sphere, it is an amazing experience. So I also hear there was an expert bull rider as well at Gillies on the Friday night, but I think that clip has pretty much done the rounds. Quite a lot, so I've heard. Anyway, so on to NAB. So the boring kind of statty bits to start with. So over 61,000 attendees over the few days or so. So it's a little bit down from last year, which is a bit surprising, but up from 2022, so just after COVID. But the really interesting part of this, and the interesting figure, is the fact that 54% of the people who went this year, it was their first time at NAB. And that's really interesting because generally people are pretty much stalwarts at an event like this. However, there was a big content creator focus to it as well, and I think after the disaster of with people's budgets from last year, I think that's probably been cut quite a bit. So that probably has a lot to do with it, but we're still nowhere near the figures, pre-COVID. Last one in 2019 was around 92,000 people, and they had one hall completely shut down this year. So, but a pretty decent turnout. So you got 1,300 exhibitors across 41 countries. And what we've really found with our customers this year was everyone was really focused on workflow from a customer standpoint, less product specific. So they're not looking for something specific. They're actually looking to integrate everything into a particular workflow around a bunch of solutions. And then the main themes really were content creators was quite heavy, and AI, obviously, I'll cover that in a little bit. I'm sure that's what everybody's here for. So we were absolutely bombarded by buzzwords, and one company thought they'd got them all. I thought they got a few of them, but they didn't really get close enough. But literally buzzwords everywhere with AI, etc. Next-gen workflow platforms, scalable transcoding. The only thing they're missing there is transformative, I think. So, as you can imagine, everyone's kind of getting the Tipex and writing on the banners what they think the next big buzzword is. But I honestly think there was a big shift from the last one that we've had. So previous to NAB, we did, at Jigsaw, we did a pre-NAB predictions article, probably around February, I think it was, and there was a few of us that got involved in that. So our predictions were, a focus on efficiency. Now, you could kind of roll AI into that, but a focus on workflow orchestration and automation and global media access, other people doing those kinds of things, and more tighter API integration, which I think a lot of this industry is going to have to go down that route. Security and sustainability, I'll get onto that part in a bit. But also the big one that we really wanted to see was actually some practical applications for AI. So if anyone was at IBC, hands up who went to IBC in September. There was a fair few of you, okay. So obviously the big hype train of AI, that was someone getting a white stamp and stamping it onto everyone's banner just so they were relevant. I think it was a bit comical at that point, but this kind of really took a step on, which is great to see. So if we take a look at our first focus, on efficiency, we saw lots of solution-focused designs that weren't just based on product tie-ins. So generally, historically, people go to NAB or IBC or any one of these trade shows to see a specific product and see how good it is, what's new on the block. But actually, what we found our customers were looking for and what we were driving our customers for was actually these solution-focused designs, tying this all together, so better API in workflows that we were seeing a lot of customers doing, and interestingly, AI-powered workflow automation as well. And we did see one global cloud-based workflow builder, so that ability to actually take a global workflow and apply that to multiple customers. So if you don't have the technical expertise to design a workflow, you can get somebody else to do it, but also apply it to all your SaaS-based applications around from anywhere in the world. That's a really interesting concept, and it's certainly someone like us as a solutions provider can really kind of get on top on as well. We saw some integrations. Finally, we saw some actual panel integrations with Avid. So with the new Open SDK, so obviously with the SpectraLogix guys, with the Rio broker on there, that was actually the first one I saw on the show. And then a lot of third-party integrations as panels, so the likes of First Mile and the Marvin Jr. guys. But Avid being a much more open platform, it's really lovely for us to see them kind of moving forward and actually allowing people to work with them. So really cool stuff to see. Other API integrations and AI integrations into different platforms as well. And that idea of that global media access as well, with LucidLink kind of really leading the charge in terms of global media access. There are lots of people looking for a piece of that pie, but maybe not on the performance side of it, but potentially on the taking all the rest of your global storage, whether it be cloud or on-premise, and creating a global namespace. Maybe not so much in the performance side like Lucid guys are doing, but also interesting to see that's a way that people are looking to go. And automated media movement. So if I go back to my first point of workflow orchestration and automation, that idea of automating that media movement based on a specific workflow that could be designed by an AI, by an API integration with that solution in mind. So actually a real kind of breakaway from what we were seeing maybe in September and maybe through the end of that year. So security. So we saw a few SOC 2 Type 2 announcements as well, LucidLink obviously being one of those as well. Forensic watermarking was a pretty big hit. On Stan seems to see that a lot, and we see all the first actual practical application of NextGuard forensic watermarking for low latency for streaming platforms like Amazon. That's to enforce kind of viewing rights. We haven't really seen that yet. So we've seen it on pre-made content for viewing and DCPs that's been around for a while, and pre-made content, but really not on the live streaming part to enforce that kind of viewer content. I saw a lot of vendors who were looking at the OAuth 2 model for zero trust. That's a big part of our model as well at Jigsaw, is actually security is a massive part. IT comes first generally of a lot of solutions. So if you don't kind of start to tie up those things, then actually the solution falls at the first hurdle. We're also seeing AI analysis for viewer usage, again, based on stuff like forensic watermarking as well. And obviously, if you take that into collaboration with the 2024 Content Protection Summit that was actually on the Saturday, the day before NAB, security was pretty hot there. Sustainability, you're in Vegas, so nothing's sustainable. They don't even have hand dryers. But there was very little on the floor. And I'll be honest, I got that prediction completely wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I thought, the Americans would really do a big push on sustainability, and considering what we saw at IBC, what we've seen completely in the EU, it's a completely different model. We have to have enterprises who have to report their metrics for sustainability. That's going to be what's going to happen going forward. The Americans have got quite a lot of work to do, but it's nice to see that the Americans have still got the NAB Excellence to Sustainability Awards carrying on from last year. So it is definitely a work in progress there. So I certainly see that kind of moving forward, hopefully into next year. And obviously the main theme, AI, no prizes for guessing that. So, 200 plus vendors with AI on their banners or doing some form of AI. It is crazy to navigate the minefield of AI. And again, it comes down to that, is it a solution for a problem that doesn't exist, or is it actually something that is usable by us as an industry. AI is being used around the world for different things, but actually for us as an industry, is it something that we actually need? And IBC really didn't help that matter, I don't think. So we've got the usual kind of analyze and search, speech to text, image recognition, the nice things, seeing security stuff coming out of that, and workflow assistance. I'll do a little bit more on that in a minute, but 150 sessions just on AI. And again, very creator heavy. So actually a lot of kind of YouTubers, they had a whole creator lab on the south floor, on the upper floor, literally based on creators. And they're using a lot of light AI tools for all their preparation and actually through their process. So quite interesting thing to see. And my favorite part was the official AI chatbot, which was called Chris. So one of our guys actually decided they might put a sticker over the QR code that went to my mobile phone, and I could give them let me Google that for you answer back and see what happens. But that was quite poking a bit of fun at that. But actual practical applications for AI, and what did we see? I saw a big shift away from what we saw at IBC with this just kind of mad melee of people trying to fight to get AI on their stand and inside their product. We saw a big shift to more natural language models, which is really interesting. Media workflow orchestration and design. So if you take this idea of, I need to design a workflow in my orchestration builder. How do I do that? I might not be techie enough to do that, but I can tell it in natural language what to do. And we saw a few examples of that. So I want to take this file, ingest it into here, transcode it into this, move it to there, and then put it on there. It can actually, we saw a few products that can actually do that for you. And also the other way around. If you look at a workflow on your system and go, I don't really understand that, what is it? Talk to it in a natural language model and say, what on earth does that do? Why is it there? And it can actually explain to you why it's there and what it's doing. So taking that idea of the co-pilot, so obviously we have Avid Ada as well, they're showing it over there in the back, of that kind of idea of the digital assistant, but also taking that idea of viewer analysis figures as well, going back to that security part. And then we saw the first integration into a storage offering with Wasabi. They acquired Curio, I think it was at the end of the year last year, and they've done a brilliant implementation. So they now call it Air. So if you want to see that, Alex is sitting down there with Wasabi. It's a brilliant implementation. But the fact that you can actually buy something now, which is on top of storage, which already exists, is a really good practical application and usage for AI, certainly for your archive. Other things I saw was AI is becoming a bit more predictive and sentient. I mean, this could actually be quite terrifying for a lot of people. Everyone thinks kind of Skynet kind of things. But actually one product I did see was, predictive sequence and storyline building. That's a really interesting concept because the fear around, we're all going to get replaced by this, robot that's going to do everything for me. This isn't based on that. It's a learning model for your personal preferences. It's using emotional and mood responses. But it's like the AI has actually watched your footage and there's reporting back. So it says, okay, I completely understand what you're doing. What's your narrative? So you can ask it to say, actually, I need a promo on, Whitfield Street, for instance. And I've got a load of footage. It's watched that. And it will start to predictably build me a sequence together. But not just say, in concrete, this is what it looks like. Here's some alternatives if you don't like those clips. And actually, you start to build that out in a completely different template. So like a storyboard, change out clips, and then export that into your NLE, whether that be Avid or whether it be to Premiere. So a really interesting way of working. And also that idea of the digital assistant, which is how I kind of always saw us using AI in our industry for that type of purpose. So Adobe obviously premiered their Firefly model. I don't know if anyone's seen the video that's going around, but their idea of generative extend, object addition, object removal, third-party integrations as well, which is quite interesting. But also that idea of responsible AI with content credentials. There could be an argument to say, this isn't professional usage. I mean, I could agree. That's fine. But the reason I showed that video is to actually show you what is possible. And the fact that these things are already in development and could be, could arrive in your application within, just with your subscription. how fast AI is actually moving and the access to Gen AI applications inside your existing applications. And that the fact that they've thought about the kind of responsible AI credentials is, just another step forward. So, creators are already using kind of light-based AI stuff for this, but, not maybe in this instance with inside the applications using third parties, but it's just an interesting thought process to think, actually, AI is moving so quickly that it's a struggle for most people to keep up with it. So other things that we saw at NAB, so cloud obviously was obviously around. It was pretty much powering most things. So the whole NAB Live was powered by live productions, and everyone's kind of really kind of pushing this idea of backbone for live. So interesting, the system that was run for NAB Live was part of something that I designed years ago for a broadcaster, and they reused that for the whole NAB Live thing for the 4 days. So really interesting to see that stuff being used in different contexts as well. VR made a bit of a comeback with the Apple Vision Pro, I think, kind of pushing a bit more interest in there. We saw a virtual news gallery with augmented reality going on. That was pretty interesting. Virtual production, loads of VP stages and volumes, LED panels and green screens. There was many stands with green paint on, which I didn't quite understand, different shades of green. But if you're at NAB, then you understand what I mean. And then 2110 seemed to be the next kind of buzzword that everyone was sticking on their banners as well. It was competing with AI a little bit. But I think Blackmagic kind of bringing that to more of the public masses, I think, with their release of their box. And also then being quite disruptive of cameras as well, with a 12K camera and a 17K camera on the way. So, watch this space. Can't wait to see what content comes out of those. So yeah, my kind of overall verdict of it, very AI and content creator heavy, a really nice shift away from IBC, which I think was great, kind of getting through that mess of AI and into stuff that's actually kind of usable, like the guys at Wasabi, for instance. AI is clearly moving very, very fast, and it's showing what's possible. I think there's been a really positive response from the vendors out there and the clients that we went with as well, but basically on that workflow solution focus as well, so not so much on a specific vendor focus or product focus. It did seem a little quiet, but obviously it's not back up to full strength yet, but obviously we'll be absolutely back next year to see what's happening. One big announcement we did make during NAB was that we partnered up with Filmlight. So Steve and Sam are over here as exclusive partner for their product Nara. So that's offering media index, agnostic media index, media access, and color accurate streaming using the most renowned Baselight engine for color accurate streaming on the web browser. So if you get a chance, go and see the guys over here or come and talk to one of us. These are the UK first live demos as well, so public demos. There's been a few in private, so if you want to see Nara, go check those guys out over there. And just to give you a quick roundup of the rest of the vendors we have around here. So Titan Distributing, we've got in the room over here, who have got Spectralogic, Atto, Supermicro, and Seagate. As well as round, we've got representative from Asia as well. Over there, okay. Alex is down on the Wasabi. Rupert, Nick, and Brett from LucidLink down here. Avid are at the back. And as I mentioned, we've got the guys from Nara. So I'm going to hand over to Tim now as we're going to run our post-NAB panel. So thanks everyone for coming and thanks for listening.